Okay, so we're to the finishing stages on our bar buddy. We repaired the eyeball that had popped out. Oh, there was a knot hole there. We fixed his tooth. His teeth look pretty good now. We do have a little bit of a knot hole back up here that I didn't address properly, so I think I might do something with that. And in the back here, you can see that there's a hole here and a hole here. This is the heart of the wood. If you look right at the bottom down here, it carries right on through. So repair that. I'll get some wood that will match it and fill this up, maybe clean this out a little bit. We'll get into the final sanding and then we'll start dressing them up. We'll use stain to color the hair and the face, the body. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Bob's Carving Hobby. Today's a special one. It's the final chapter and the big reveal of Aiden, our bar buddy. We're about to wrap up this carving project, but before we get to that glossy finish, there's a bit more to do to it than just sanding with finer and finer grit. A quick safety tip: always secure your carving project in a vise or with sturdy clamps before you begin working. This keeps the wood steady, allowing you to use both hands on your tools for better control and precision. A stable workpiece not only helps you carve more accurately, but also significantly reduces the risk of slips and injuries. For added protection, line the jaws of your vise with wood to prevent damage to your project, and make sure your setup is comfortable whether you sit or stand while carving. I gotta let this dry. Go back when that's ready. These are little diamond grit chisels for doing fine work on wood. You can buy them in kit, come with a number of different configurations. You can get them flat, curve in them, or the circle. We're going to use those. Get into some tight space, a little bit of cleaning up. Sanding may seem straightforward, but to get the best results, you need to follow the right process. We started with 80 grit sandpaper to smooth out all those chisel and tool marks. Next, we moved up to 120 and then 180 grit to erase the scratches left by the 80 grit. Now, we're using 220 grit to take it even further. Here's a tip that'll save you time and effort. Don't jump straight from 80 grit to 220 grit, thinking you'll save time. 220 grit isn't made to remove the deep scratches from 80 grit. You'll just end up working harder for a less polished finish. Instead, work through each grit step by step. Proper grit progression ensures that each step refines the surface, gradually making the scratches smaller and less visible, until they're invisible to the naked eye. Skipping steps results in more work, a less even finish, and visible imperfections once the finish is applied. Today, we'll go from 220 to 320, then 400, and finally 600 grit for that ultra smooth surface. As we sand, our goal is to fix any mistakes and really bring out Aiden's personality. That piece in the back on his neck done, cleaned up the hole in his hair, got some sanding done, but we're still only at 220. See how the wood is starting to pop. Sanding with the grain is important because it helps avoid visible scratches and produces a smoother, more professional finish. When you sand against the grain, the sandpaper cuts across the wood fibers, leaving marks that stand out and can be difficult to remove, especially after applying a finish. These cross-grain scratches can make the surface look uneven and less polished, as they don't blend in with the natural lines of the wood. By sanding with the grain, any scratches left behind align with the wood fibers, making them much less noticeable and allowing the wood's natural beauty to shine through. When you hit the wood with 320 grit, you'll notice the beauty of the grain starting to pop, and you might spot scratches in those tricky spots. Don't try to fight them with fine sandpaper. Just drop back to 180 grit if you need to, and then work your way up again. Once you've gone through 400 and 600 grit, your carving will be ready for those final touches. To add detail, I use a wood burning tool to darken the pupils of the eyes and the inside of the mouth. However, if you don't have a wood burner, no worries. Paint will work as well. He's looking pretty good. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Then it's time for some color. Aiden gets a dark stain for his hair, making sure to get in all the grooves, and I'm careful to avoid any drips or painting past the lines. If you want, you can tape off areas you don't want stained. I skipped that step and had to do a bit of cleanup sanding afterward. For the walnut's deep natural color, I left it as is and gave his sweater a lighter brown stain. Once the stain dried, it was time to apply the finish. There's nothing like seeing that wood grain shine through. And there we have it. From a simple block of wood to a finished piece of art, made with our hands and a few trusty tools. Aiden was a fun project, and he's ready to join the other bar buddies on the shelf. So what's next? Make sure to like and subscribe to follow along as we dive into more carving, turning, and woodworking projects, all using reclaimed wood and budget-friendly tools. Thanks for watching. This is Bob Jones, and I'll see you in the next video.